Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How y'all doing? How y'all feeling? Welcome into another edition of Get Off the Damn Fence. We are here for another week. It is Tuesday night, 9 o'clock. So you know what that means. I'm here, Larry Caution, joined as I am each and every week by co-hosts Calvin Thomas and Justin B.A. the Barber Harris. How y'all doing tonight, gentlemen?
Hey, Errol. Doing good,
What's
doing good.
what's going on? Trying
How
to
you
finish this
doing?
parlay real quick.
Hey man, you know that time of year. We in November. You know that weather change. The colds
Somebody
is coming.
gonna bring it up.
Flu season. It is what it is. Got a little frog in the throat, but thankfully I can at
Well,
least can talk.
before we get started, Larry, could you share the people, tell the people what you just won this past weekend?
Oh man,
Go ahead, man. Why you still got the voice?
I was honored and blessed to be able to be recognized at my church. It's the they came. It's even difficult for me to talk about it because I really don't like talking about myself in that manner. But
Southern's Man of the Year award. That's what that was. That was the title of that.
yes,
Is that
it,
correct?
it was our Men and Women's Day, and the pastor awarded in the church awarded a man and a woman as they see people who are unsung, who do a lot. They don't look for any money, don't look for any recognition, and I was honored to receive that
There you
inaugural award
go.
from the church. Yeah,
My
man of the
God.
year. I again, to God be the glory. Anybody knows me,
See
I
that
put.
that that's why he lost his voice, ladies and gentlemen. Not I don't care about you complain of sickness all you want to. He was out there partying with the
Nah, nah,
church full
nah.
of champagne in the
We
name
went to
of
breakfast
Jesus.
at that was it. Yeah. But yeah,
Too
anybody
much
know
wine.
me knows I put God first. I try we try to just talk, keep it to sports. You know you can't. We well-rounded human beings. We all got our belief system. And when you come here, you want to talk about sports, you want to talk about entertainment. We try to keep it lighthearted. But whatever your belief system is, I don't discriminate. I don't any of that. But I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, and that's who I serve. And I've been honored to be a member of my church. I haven't been there that long, honestly. I've been my home church. I was there almost my whole life. In 2017, 2018, I decided it was time for me to move on, and it took me a while to find another church. And I did join Southern Baptist Church as an official member in 2023, as after invitation from our friend Dominique McLean, who was also a member there. I was going and watching them online for a while, and that's why I gotta get involved. And everybody who know me knows I'm not the type of person to just go and sit there and enjoy. I gotta get involved. Got to do something in the community. Got to do something to help the kids. Got to do something. So that's what I do. I'm involved in a lot of stuff. So I encourage anybody out there, whatever you do, give it 120%. As if you're not gonna give it 120, ain't no point in doing it, because there's a lot of people out here who need help. A lot of people out here can use your help. So if you need to get involved, start getting involved. It's fruitful and you'll be blessed for it. I'm off my soapbox now. But
All right.
appreciate the kind words, and but we're here to talk about sports. Again, my voice isn't what it needs to be, but I'm going to say what I need to say. So we're going to kick this thing off with some NFL, talking about week number 10 that we just passed on. Man, what a week in football. When we looked at this lineup last week, I remember I was even watching the clips from last week's, and we were talking about some of the games. We were like, not the couple games that stood out, but not like something where we would be writing home about it. But wow, who foresaw some of these finishes that we were able to get? I think this is probably the best week for like near finishes. Anything that really, really, really you thought this could be the week that Kansas City might go down. Oh, this might be the Detroit, 5 interceptions. You know they have to lose that game, but somehow, some way, these teams find a way to win. We're going to talk about them in all great detail. So let's start with the Kansas City Chiefs were able to defeat the Denver Broncos 16-14 at home. Denver gave them everything they could give them, and it came down to a chip shot 35-yard field goal that was blocked at the end of regulation, and the Chiefs were able to hold on. Justin, give me your thoughts. What was your thoughts on this matchup? And if the Chiefs didn't lose this game, will they go undefeated at this point?
Well, as the week in week out number one team on my power rankings, all they do is just prove themselves week in week out, and yesterday was Sunday was just another day in that improving themselves. It's just even if Patrick has a bad game, even if the defense, I mean, they have them to 14 points, so the defense definitely came and did their job. The special teams as well did their job. It's just whenever there's one side of the ball that's lacking, another side will make up for it, and they just do it, and they continue to they constantly do it. So I'm not surprised. We all kind of thought that the Chiefs was going to win. I think we thought the Chiefs was going to win. I think that's not the shocker part of it. It's just here we go again. When it comes down to the wire, one team constantly makes plays to win the game, and another team unfortunately finds a way to lose. My team bit that bullet. Y'all team bit that bullet. It's just it is what it is. And eventually, either they're gonna start blowing teams out or they're gonna start losing. They can either way. But for now, they'll take every win they can get, every victory they can get, because they got reinforcements coming. Pacheco is on his way. He got cleared. They got another player coming off of IR right along with them. They're getting healthier at the right time. They added the D-Hop. They're getting pieces together. I mean, we'll see where they look at another 4 weeks, but for now, whoever up, they going down.
Galvin, your thoughts?
This is probably one of a handful of games I expected them to lose just based off the play going into the game this season. They got a horseshoe up their ass at this point. Between some of the calls and the blocked field goal to win the game, a blocked 30, this wasn't even pushing 50 or 60, it was like about a 30-yard field goal. The Kansas City Chiefs was doing just enough to win the ball game. Do I expect them to go undefeated throughout the regular season? No, for a couple of reasons. One, I think they lose to Buffalo this week. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And also, they play the same Denver team week 18. And if they've already wrapped it up, I don't foresee Patrick Mahomes and their starters playing. And if Denver is still in the playoff race and they need a victory, I think they're going to play hard and they're going to get that victory as well. But I do have them losing a couple games, including that last week. Like I said, if they're already 16-0 at that point and there's nothing for them to play for, because if they're 16-0, that means they beat Buffalo, they beat Pittsburgh, and they beat Baltimore. So they're locked into the number one seed. They can't fall out of there. So they're getting that bye. So I think that they would rest players and then probably lose their last week. But objectively speaking, and I want to ask Justin this question. What's your opinion on this offense, this Kansas City offense? Just 14 points, 16 points against Denver?
It's called buying time until
No. I'm just asking about the offense. That's all I want.
I said they struggled, so I'm acknowledging that they're not a polished finish right now. But the fact is, you win the games that's in front of you until you work certain things out. They might not ever work it out, but if they do, then the NFL's in trouble.
So is this offense? The reason I bring this up because this same defense gave up 41 points the week before to Baltimore, and they gave up 16 to Kansas City. So is it Denver's defense just had a bad week, or is it Kansas City's offense really struggling? From your independent perspective, I had my views on it. I'm just wondering what you think.
One, I think that the Chiefs' defense is just that much better, so that they can hold a team to 14 points. Secondly, on the flip side, I think that Denver
held them to 10.
I'm not saying that was the best thing ever. Okay. What are you saying? Why are you so argumentative on the debate? I get it, but you're bringing it out of nowhere. Like, what's the hostility?
Getting away from the point. That's all I'm saying.
That was the second point. The second point is the fact of the matter is the Broncos defense is a divisional game. They came to show that there's no dynamic player like Lamar Jackson on this Chiefs team right now. As currently constructed right now, Patrick Mahomes is just not that guy right now. So they can play a more solid base defense against this team. They are good against tight ends, which Travis scored, but he didn't go off like that. So they did what they're supposed to do. It's just the Chiefs made more plays when it mattered the most.
I think it's very important to note that every year in the NFL, we have a team. I'm not going to say every year, but just about every year.
This ain't the Pittsburgh Steelers.
You have that team that racks off a bunch of wins, and a lot of people get that. Could they go undefeated? Could they go undefeated? But the biggest difference, if you took the name off that jersey and slapped on New Orleans or
You would think it's Pittsburgh a couple years ago.
Arizona, like you say,
what I said.
even a Pittsburgh, even a Philly last year, any team like that, where because this happens every couple of years, we get this team that goes on a roll, and it's not even Thanksgiving yet, and that's what I'm saying. It's always around Thanksgiving. You're like, wow, could they go undefeated? And then boom, December woes always slow these trains down. I think Kansas City is a flawed team, but the reason why people still have the utmost faith in them is because they have that quarterback. And at the end of the day, you still got to beat them. And I don't think the goal is to go undefeated. That doesn't matter. They're going for a three-peat.
Mhm.
So they should lose a game. I mean, at some point, if you're winning this many this early, later in the season, you can sit down and you know what I mean? They got enough cushion where they can rest some players, get some help guys healthy on the way into the playoffs. So I don't think undefeated really is that big of a deal. The whole point is to host that Lombardi at the end. And right now, until you beat them, they still the champs. So hats off. I think they've been flawed all year, and I've been saying that every week. It does. I'm not saying they're still not number one in my power rankings, but it is what it is. Or are they? Stay tuned. We'll find out later. Moving on. The Detroit Lions, another team that we had, gaudy expectations of what we've been seeing over the past weeks. They came out on Sunday Night Football, and guys, this was the week. They were supposed to lose this game. Calvin, I know you have the Houston Texans as your number one seed overall in the NFL.
I got Detroit number one in the NFC too.
I know you had CJ as your MVP. If he's the MVP, best player in the league, according to you, prior to this season, doesn't he have to close that game out? Doesn't he have to find a well? I know there's no Nico Collins. I know there's no Stephon Diggs. But when you have a 3-touchdown lead, the quarterback is throwing 5 interceptions, don't you have to score 3 points in the second half? Don't you have to do something in the second half to put that game away? Just the questions. I don't have any statements, just questions. Calvin?
Look, when there are that many turnovers in the game and you're at home, you have to win that ball game. Not only did you have a double-digit lead going to the halftime, you had your opponent commit 5 turnovers, 5 interceptions. You were not able to capitalize on any of those in the second half to score points, any points, not enough points to win the game, but any points. And then your defense goes just blank and just gives up points after points in the second half, gives up 19 points and relinquishes that lead, including the game-winning field goal late. I don't know what's going on in Houston. Look, sophomore slump for CJ. I think that's possible. There's been some turbulence on that offensive line as well. Laramie Thompson went off a little bit. You lost Stephon Diggs. You lost Nico Collins for the majority of the season thus far. You're relying on Tank Dell, and you're relying on your tight end Dalton Schultz. Mixon, I think, had a great game as well, especially early on, able to just get whatever he wanted against that Detroit Lions defense.
He did nothing
minus Darius Smith, who was just had his normal bye week, according to him. You got to win those games, and there is no excuse if you're Houston not to score any points in the second half. Every drive that you had was either a turnover or a punt. Not to even and a missed field goal. Didn't even add that in late. But you can't rely on your kicker to score when necessary. I'm starting to worry. I'm starting to worry about Houston.
You said there's no reason, right?
There's no reason for them to lose.
The reason is because of the defense of the Detroit Lions. That's the reason why they lost. They put their foot down. They put their paws down, I should say. And they found and in the second half, and they said, "You're just not going to win, and we are the better team." And just like with Kansas City, as I said before, sometimes you need other parts of your team to step up to hold the fort down, and that's what the defense did. Shout out to Carlton Davis for doing this thing as well. And that's just what it was. It was a second half thing. It didn't matter where they were spotted. They say either we're going to hold you to nothing, we're going to turn the ball over. It doesn't matter where you're at. So everything that you just said, it led to one thing and one thing only. It was the Detroit Lions defense showing that they are a complete team. If Jared Goff he can throw 5 of it, he can throw 6 interceptions. We'd be all right. we'll still find a way to win the game. It doesn't matter. And then if the defense struggles and they get in shootouts, guess what? That's when all of a sudden Jared Goff is playing one of his best games that he ever played. If it's a mud fight, we got to get it out the dirt. That's when they're going to run the ball 30, 40 times. This Detroit Lions team is starting to be a well-rounded, complete football team. And they should be proud of themselves.
You hopped on the bandwagon, I see.
I'm not hopping on it. I mean, first and foremost, I do have a number 2 on my power rankings. And thirdly, the better they are, that one loss stands out even more. You know what I'm saying? So,
but y'all don't make the playoffs, it looks even worse.
All I'm saying is I don't even know who beat them. That's all I'm saying.
That's like me saying the Vegas Raiders, victory over the Ravens looks astounding because they held the MV3 to 2 touchdowns.
But look, man, all I know is this. I don't ever want to hear nothing about that. Jared Goff is the MVP.
He definitely took some steps out of the MVP.
Hang it up, all right? Because at the end of the day,
about 4 or 5 places.
This is the problem I have, and this is a larger conversation that maybe we need to dive into a little bit later. But the double standards in this league really drive me crazy. Because have you heard anybody disparaging Jared Goff's name, calling him anything but, hey, he just fell out of the MVP race. They still the best team, though. Could you imagine if Lamar Jackson went out there and threw 5 interceptions in any game? What the narrative would be? What would be said about him? This is Jared Goff. The guy went to the Super Bowl and lost. The guy was never accomplished anything in this league. The guy that gave up on in LA, went to Detroit, and now he choked last year in the playoffs when everybody thought Detroit had everything in their lap that should have went to the Super Bowl. But you don't hear any criticism of Jared Goff after that performance. But I just think it's the hypocrisy of this league. If Dak Prescott had done the same thing, they would utterly destroy Dak Prescott for throwing 5 interceptions. I haven't heard a peep about Jared Goff and being less than. They say, oh, but look, you see how that team picked him up. That's all they're talking about now. Calvin, answer me that. What's the issue? What's the double standard here?
You know what the double standard is, but I won't even say that's the number one reason. I'll give you reasons that aren't that. It's a better response. One, there's only one person that I can think of that said he was the MVP. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's only been one person who said that.
Oh, I've heard many people say it.
Okay, I haven't heard many people say that, so I take that. I haven't heard many people say that. I've only heard one, and it's the loudest person on sports talk. So,
Stephen A.
Yeah.
Jeff Saturday said the same thing.
I didn't see Jeff Saturday say that because during the segment I saw everyone else say Lamar and he said Jared Goff.
Oh no, I'm talking overall. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he was the only one I heard say that. So when you made that comment, I didn't know that.
I just wonder.
I will
go ahead.
I will say there is more responsibility on Lamar than Jared Goff, which should lead you to believe that the opposite will be true, and that if he has a bad performance, it should be because he's expected to do so much. But I think we're approaching that point in which Lamar's entering that LeBron Jordan territory where I'm tired of voting for him for MVP, especially if you don't do anything in the playoffs. And therefore, I'm going to nitpick anything I can to not give you this award until you prove it in the playoffs. And I even said it before the season, and this is before Lamar's had this phenomenal season thus far. I don't see him winning another MVP until he wins the Super Bowl because of voter fatigue and because of what he's earned during the regular season, but not yet earned in the playoffs. So I think that's part of the conversation.
I'll go touch on that a little bit later.
That's tough. I'll say that I want to ride that train, pause. But it's just I'm just not there. Jared Goff is like, you just went through a couple of his failures. Like, even when he took the Rams to the Super Bowl, that was Todd Gurley's team, right? It was never him.
I thought he was. That offense was.
No, but I specifically remember that season, a game against Kansas City in which they won a shootout, 56-54, something like that. Everyone was talking about Jared Goff leading that team. So if you want to say it was Todd Gurley's team in the locker room, okay, but the perception was this is a high-flying offense that's being led by the quarterback because of the passing numbers. So
Understood.
I wouldn't.
I'll still
They
say
had a
Todd, but
shootout with the Ravens.
I
I don't
still
think
Remember
that
say
was a
that?
Todd.
shootout.
I
That wasn't
give
a
you that.
shootout.
But
What
They
was
gave
that?
up 5
Lamar when he threw
touchdowns.
5 touchdowns.
They gave a. It wasn't a shootout.
it's just I don't think that he's just that he's not that guy. How many MVPs does he have? He doesn't have any, right?
I'm just
Like
saying. I
he's a
just think
slight journeyman a little bit. He was almost written off until he kind of found his niching, his footing
Until Dan Campbell.
in Detroit. So, even with this Detroit team, it's like this team is so good. Somebody got to be the MVP, right? Like it's got to be somebody, right? So it's default him,
they
right?
loaded.
It's
They loaded.
But you don't
they
hear
are
that same talk in Kansas City, or is
because
that
it was
because he's already
Patrick.
done that?
Because
It
he already got
was
his
only
win.
Patrick.
Okay.
That's the point. I think guys like a Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, they're going to get more credit because you look at the team and you think they don't really have these household names. He's not carrying, you know what I mean? Like the receiving core is a sum of his parts, not necessarily a star. When you look at Philly,
Right.
you can look at AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. It's like, oh, he loaded. You know what I mean? So Jalen Hurts not going to get as much credit for winning with a team. He got Saquon in the backfield. Now, Lamar, you could argue, yeah, he got Derrick Henry, but you don't know who Zay Flowers was.
Everybody else was a toss up
Bateman,
coming into
like,
the year, and now if they're a well-oiled machine, well, Lamar is definitely the reason
he's
why.
the catalyst.
If
Yeah.
not Derek, but we know overall it's Lamar. And that's my thing. It's just too much going on with Detroit, where as though default he was going to be put up some kind of love. He's going to be elevated, although he didn't deserve it.
Yeah, let's get into this game we saw last Thursday night. The Baltimore Ravens hosted the Cincinnati Bengals and were able to pull out a victory. The Bengals went for a 2-point conversion at the end of the game. A lot of controversy over whether that should have been a illegal hands to the face, whether that should have been a holding on the defense. We've heard some Ravens fans say that should have been a holding on Cincinnati's right tackle. So those penalties should have offset. Regardless of the fact, yes, we did see Joe Burrow clearly get hit in the face, and possibly Cincinnati should have been able to go for another 2-point conversion. They didn't. It is what it is. The Ravens escaped with another victory over the Bengals, going 2-0 in the season and 2 shootouts. You have to give Lamar Jackson credit for battling through after a tough first half. I thought the Ravens actually bounced back pretty well and were down 21-7 and came all the way back, took the lead. That showed a lot of tenacity against a high-powered offense. The defense bowed their back. Marlon Humphrey played well, able to force a fumble that really turned that whole game around.
Agreed.
The secondary is still absolutely trash overall, as they will allow Jamar Chase to have a career day against them on their field, but it wasn't enough, and the Ravens were able to get the victory. Calvin, can the Ravens sustain this type of season? Can they go deep in the playoffs with the defense playing this poor?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Just based off the offense, and when you look at this offense and look at the numbers and just really do a deep dive in regards to just specifically the passing numbers and how quick they're able to score, how efficient they are when they're scoring, the ability to score is best in the league. And I think the next best offense, efficiency wise, is like half of what they do. They can put up numbers with anyone and they can score efficiently. You even saw that Cincinnati was worried about scoring fast when they left the Ravens less than a minute left. They were worried about leaving them too much time in order to get a field goal. That's all they would have needed to win the ball game. So I do think this offense can overcome the deficiencies of this defense and can go deep into the playoffs, especially when you look at who they will be playing against. A Buffalo team that they beat during regular season and they have confidence against. A Pittsburgh team, if they're able to beat them, then they will be able to say they had one up on them as well. A Houston team that they'll see later in the year, and a Kansas City team in which we know they haven't beat them, but that would be that would truly be their only test.
That's the question.
So I think this offense can overcome the division of this defense that as it's done thus far this year. In 2 victories against Cincinnati and a victory against Dallas, we can sit here and name the times that the defense has given up 27, 28 points, 21 straight points, 14 straight points. The offenses have had to overcome double-digit leads, and they're still 7-3. So I don't see why that would change going forward in the playoffs.
Justin, your thoughts?
You know, this one actually to me, I think was is two reasons. There's two things I got. One, it really showed how dynamic the Ravens offense is. And I think both things comes into one. It's I've rarely seen a team, maybe since against some really, really great offensive teams in the past years, some decades, where they had a game plan, and on that game plan it said we're going to be extremely aggressive the entire game. You really don't see it like that the entire game. And they was like, "Yo, we close on fourth. We're going for it on fourth down, 2-point convergence,
Mhm.
everything. We are going to. We're not trying to give Lamar Jackson any more time, and he needs to maintain himself off the field. That's what they wanted to do, and it still lost to me. And I think that was the thing. So you have to give some credit, some leeway towards the Ravens defense where they was going for it on fourth downs and you still had to continually stop them. Yeah, you couldn't rely on, okay, here we go, they're about to punt the ball. No, they're going for it. So
Yeah.
you gotta retool, you gotta buckle down all over again. That's a different mindset. This is video game play when you keep going for it on fourth down and stuff like that. And for the fact that the Ravens to withstand that last drive and everything like that to hold them, that shows that they stepped up when needed. I said you got a bend but don't break type defense. Yeah, you can light them up. Yes, you can. But when it comes down to making certain plays here and there, despite the game which they dropped like 5 interceptions in one game, they normally come through when needed, and that's just what they did. And Lamar Jackson, shout out to him. It's just they are afraid of Lamar Jackson. I know that the league is afraid of him. I don't know why, but that's what it is. And it's just it's an interesting sight to see it firsthand by living in Baltimore. Like I'm watching all the games now, like and stuff like that. I normally don't watch the Ravens, but I am watching every single game now, and I'm like, yo, they are literally playing to get him to not let him touch the ball.
My thing with watching this team right now, and I again, I'm very critical. It is what it is, but the glaring holes will always be more evident to me than your average fan who just watching, because I watch the all 22 so closely. And the biggest problem the Ravens will face is their inability to play clean football without committing penalties. The penalties are extending these drives. If you go back over, even you can look at every game that they've lost. Every game they've lost, even some they were so lucky to pull out. The defense will play pretty good here and there, and it'll be that one hold, that one procedure penalty, that one pass interference that extends the drive, that one, like they'll, first down, second down, they done everything they supposed to do. Third down, you thinking you're getting off the field, and here comes the flag because somebody is undisciplined. They get desperate, they start grabbing. It happens consistently. And if you look at this defense, you have some players who have never been asked to do what they're being asked to do right now, and they look not confident. They look unprepared. The defensive coordinator seems like he's out of his depth. I'm sorry. I've seen it too many times. The inability to know when to play man and when to play zone. It's a feel. You just have to have a feel for that. And look, I've been on the record. I'm not a big fan of this rookie defensive coordinator allowing the players to kind of like do whatever they want to do, because that's the sense I get a lot of the times this year, especially with our safeties. We probably have two of the worst safeties in the league playing right now. If you don't have Hamilton on the field, Hamilton's hurt right now.
He probably won't be on there Monday or Sunday.
Eddie Jackson and Marcus Williams are absolute butt cheeks. I'm sorry, guys. Like, go back and watch the tape. These guys are literally confusing each other. One guy is supposed to be like playing a shallow, one player is supposed to be deep. Both of them right next to each other. Or how many times we seen Marcus Williams 30, 35 yards off the ball? No help to the linebackers. He's making Roquan Smith look like he don't know what he's doing out there. And really, if you go back and watch the film, this is not Roquan's fault. He's being asked to cover such a large area that now you're second guessing yourself. Should I be how deep should I be? Because now everything's getting thrown right in front of me. Now I got to run guys down 15 yards down the field. It's happening consistently. And because you're working in a Trenton Simpson, who's young, who has never been asked to do what he's done, because you're working in a new corner who's a rookie, who's been given starters minutes and being asked to do a lot more than you would. You don't have that veteran. Who's the veteran? Marlon, but Marlon played Marlon. He don't take a man and lock him down. Marlon I don't know what Marlon does, to be honest with you. I love him, but it's not consistent enough. So you're going to get plays where a Jamar Chase just gets run over there. Oh, I'm going to run over here now. Now I'm going to run over here. And it's zone. And if you're not disciplined, you can't play zone defense. Man, it's just pathetic. And this defense is going to be the reason why the Ravens don't reach the heights that we think this offense is able to get them to. You can't outscore everybody. You're going to have an off day. And in the playoffs, these things shrink. The scoring goes down, and you have to rely on your defense to knuckle down. And right now, I have no confidence in these safeties. Hopefully, the addition, we'll see what Tre'Davious White can bring. I'm not saying he's going to be every
play safety.
That's what I'm saying. What are they going to play him at? Because I would put him at safety. I would try him out.
I mean, unless you're saying we're going to have our corners play better, and we're only going to worry about our safety. Just get deep, just get back, and don't let no one get anyone get behind you. Which is the first rule of playing safety. Don't let anyone get behind you. And even on a long touchdown pass by Jamar Chase, there's no reason Jamar Chase is running straight at you and you're flat-footed. You're not catching up with his speed. When he was 10 yards behind you, you're trying to catch up, and then you just stop. Like that was completely unacceptable. But I do have a couple. So two things I'll add. One, I think if this team is 5-5 instead of 7-3, they probably already fired the defense coordinator. And because they probably feel like this season's on the brink, they need to make a change. I think winning is something. You're right. And I think winning is something that has caused them to stay the status quo. I'm not saying that's a problem, because I think that they believe they can fix it. But the reason, because they're 7-3, they have not made that immediate change, that necessary change, or a change period. That's one. Two, that last play of the ball game, I don't see how, if you're Joe Burrow, you go anywhere besides Jamar Chase. I don't care if he's double covered. I don't care what's going on. How do you throw the ball anywhere besides Jamar Chase? He was one-on-one to the outside of Brandon Stevens. It's either a completion or pass interference.
Barbecue chicken.
Why do you go anywhere else? And I don't understand this. You have to explain that to me. I don't even know why you don't even look anywhere else. That's it. And second, if you have not been to a primetime game in Baltimore, it is bar none one-of-one experience. I have not been. I've been to other stadiums, haven't been to a primetime game, Monday night, Sunday night, Thursday night, anything like that. But the experience in M&T on primetime games, Thursday nights, is one of one. You got to get down there.
Yeah. So let's spin this to the other side of the field. And Joe Burrow. Now, a lot of people who are saying Joe deserves better. Joe's putting out there these great performances, and he's not getting the W's to add to the win column. Now, we just started this show talking about Detroit, talking about Kansas City, and how those quarterbacks were able to pull out victories despite flaws in the team, not having all the weapons, not having the best every this and that. And we talk about how Josh Allen is expected to get it done. Lamar Jackson is expected to get it done. That's the expectation of these type of quarterbacks. Joe Burrow is in that realm. I'm not saying he's not putting up great numbers. We see he's putting up great numbers. But why aren't they translating the wins? What about Joe Burrow is not able to get his team over the hump to get W's? because he had leads. He was up 21-7 in this ball game. He had Kansas City on the ropes. He fumbled the ball, turned into a touchdown. He had the Ravens on the ropes the first time we played. Threw an interception in the game on Humphrey. Go down, we score, we win the game. So he is a contributing factor in this. But why does it seem like people tend to be saying that, Joe's unlucky? Is it he's unlucky or he's just not clutch? What is he living off to be called clutch? Is it that one win over Patrick Mahomes that year in the playoffs? So he's coasting off that? Tell me, what am I missing, Justin?
See, now that Jared Goff question, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
This is it right here. Because he has the weapons, but it's still kind of his show. Calvin made a great point. I think, honestly, on that last drive, he didn't want to throw it to Jamar Chase. Maybe he feels as if I don't want to share the spotlight here. It's me. I don't know. I'm not saying he's that kind of a guy. I don't know. I don't know him. But any other quarterback, I've seen Jaden Daniels said, Hey, Terry over there somewhere. I'm gonna throw it to him anyway. It doesn't matter, right? When you have your number one-on-one, that's when you're supposed to throw the ball to him. There is no other question behind it. And like you said, other situations, he fumbles, he throws an interception. He's not the same guy to win ball games,
win the game,
and he gets a pass a lot of the times. And I think, if he did not look like Home Alone growing up,
Macaulay Culkin,
he will honestly be scrutinized even more. He gets a pass, and that's it. Is eventually some people tried to call it out. Chris Canty was one of the main ones that really tried to call it out.
Yeah, people shouted him down.
Yep. It was a bit. It was a bit too early. It was a bit too early. It was just a bit too early. But it's coming home to rooster right now, and I agree 100%.
I agree with everything you said, and I also think that I didn't think I would be the one to sit here and halfway defend Joe Burrow as well, but I do agree with everything you said. And he's living off of one playoff victory and one Super Bowl loss. And like Chris Canty said, I don't know how many people live off a Super Bowl loss because you very rarely can rename Super Bowl losers, the runner-ups in certain specific years. But the only thing I'll say in his defense is the organization is some shit as well. You can't have an organization in which you're competing for a title. You realize this year they are $30 million under the cap. You know what $30 million can get you? Derrick Henry. It can get you to re-sign Jesse Bates. It can get you to sign Kevin Zeitler, all of whom could contribute for the Cincinnati Bengals team. When you have an owner who does not want to spend the money to put a good product on the field, you know why T. Higgins didn't play? Because he's banged up and because he doesn't have a contract. So he says, I'm not going to go out and play like a Michael Pittman and put my body on the line when I don't have a contract for next year. That is all ownership. And that comes down, and that is one of the reasons why this organization will never win, because they don't want to spend the money to win. Yes, they paid the quarterback market value. They didn't go above and beyond. They're still negotiating with Jamar Chase, who they have to pay in a couple of years as well. They still haven't re-signed T. Higgins, and they're probably not going to re-sign T. Higgins. They still haven't added to this defense. They still haven't added to this offensive line. I'm going to take that back. They added to this offensive line, but they still haven't built upon that as well. They still didn't add to replace Joe Mixon. And that all comes down to what the product you see on the field. They did not even – they decided to hire within from Zach Taylor instead of going out and getting an established head coach that could have done more for this ball club as well. So I understand the Joe Burrow slander. I understand where he's living off of one Super Bowl loss. I understand all of that. But what I also will say is the organization has not done him any favors in regards to getting him talent. They drafted Jamar Chase over Penei Sewell, who was probably the best right tackle in the league. They already had T. Higgins. I'm not saying you can go wrong in any of those picks, but if you don't have that, or they don't have the offensive line to protect Joe Burrow, and he continues to get beat up against a Baltimore defensive line that is pretty hit or miss, can we say, for the most part? But the Cincinnati Bengals
look good to me.
The Cincinnati Bengals organization has not done Joe Burrow any favors, and all he has done is produce when healthy. When he's healthy, he made it to Super Bowl. He won a division title. When he wasn't healthy, they didn't make the playoffs. And you can look at
I
Is this
don't
the
know.
same situation as going to be as Carson Palmer? Is this going to be the same situation? Now,
No,
I think Joe Burrow is more talented than that. I'm just saying
this is
the
a problem
organization
I
has
had
not
with
done
your
him any
argument.
favors.
Your argument is
They
fine
haven't done
and
him any
well.
favors. That's all I'm saying.
Your argument is fine and well if they were getting blown out every game. Your argument is
They're,
fine and well
look at Joe
if they
Burrow's
weren't
stats.
winning these games.
They're 5-5, and look at Joe Burrow's stats.
Okay, but think about this.
If he was 7-3, he'd be leading an MVP
You're
race.
making the point I'm making. The point is, as bad as you say they surrounded him with talent, as bad as all that happened, he had a lead in almost every game and a chance to hold on and get a victory. It's not the only game they really got smoked was that New England game. I think the first game of the season or something like that.
What, they scored 6 points that game? 7 points?
Like he was They say he was coming off the injury, so he wasn't 100%. But Kansas City, they should have won that game. They had every opportunity to win against Baltimore twice. That's 3 more wins right there.
Yeah.
Then you got, I think they
also shoot out to Washington.
Lost a shootout to Washington, and he committed a turnover late in that ball game.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that the point isn't about whether or not he's good enough or talented enough to play well. The problem is if you're going to indict the team, if they were getting blown out every week, I would agree with you. But they're in these games. They have a chance to win, and they're not closing the game. And that got to go at the feet of the quarterback.
This isn't just to this season. I'm just talking about from the last couple of seasons.
We got to talk about this season. Last year, he got hurt thumb injury on Thursday Night Football.
About the season as well.
He didn't play the rest of the year.
So why don't you have your number 2 weapon on the field? That
wasn't he hurt?
Is he hurt or is he injured?
Well, here's the thing. I think that's neither here nor there. We could talk about that another time. I think it doesn't matter because they scored they were up 21-7 and should have been able to put more points on the board. They were scoring at will. So they had a chance to win the game and he couldn't close it. Let's call it what it.
So the thing is, I also like to think because you guys are making good points, but Calvin, at the same time, I think you're doing what the media does for him. You're going to get a overarching excuse for him. Mm-hmm. Yes, probably T. Higgins couldn't play, but yes, because of contract wise and all this other stuff, that's not on Joe Burrow. We understood. At the end of the day, you play with what's out there, and what was out there was good enough to win a game. And what he's saying is that you get to certain points, and then you're not necessarily converting. You're getting some 3 and outs when you should have longer
3rd and 2 and 4th and 2. You throwing deep bombs down the sideline instead of taking the short intermediate shot that's right there.
We've seen quarterbacks of his talent, of his skill level, make good plays to just keep the drives going, keep moving forward. He had enough talent out there. It's just he didn't get it done, and you can say that almost every game.
You just now said he didn't throw it to Jamar Chase.
You can get it done.
The things you're saying, and like I said, I agree with everything you're saying. I think the things that you're saying about Joe Burrow, you can also say for other quarterbacks as well. And my point being is that those other quarterbacks, when they fell short or when they experienced any adversity, their organization said, okay, we're going to help you out by doing this. We're going to help you out by doing that. Buffalo, we're going to say, we're going to go get you Amari Cooper. Miami, a couple years ago, we're going to go get a young Tua, Tyreek Hill. I think that's the difference. This is what I'm saying.
I disagree with you.
They did him a favor.
They got Jamar Chase already.
When they got Jamar Chase,
I'm not specifically talking about. I'm talking about players in general. I'm talking about players in general, not just receivers. So I'm not just talking about receivers. I'm talking about players in general.
You got the NFL sack leader on the other side of the ball in Trey Hendrickson. You got 2 receivers. You got a running back. Look. Whatever you
got to run.
If you should have kept mixing.
We're really saying Chase Brown is some explosive.
Everybody thought he was a young, promising back. Everybody said that.
He was so good they had to go out and get Khalil Herbert as well.
Hey, they made the move. You said they ain't make no moves. They just traded for Khalil Herbert, a good, solid player to help.
You know what? I got a problem wait a second. I got a problem with Khalil Herbert because all three of us gave Khalil Herbert some love last week, and as soon as he got to the goddamn game, he fumbled the damn ball.
Yeah,
don't make us look bad again. I don't like that.
Was uniform for you.
We don't know. We all.
Hey, no, that was Metabike. Hit his ass too hard. Too bad. Anyway, we could talk about this in a grander scheme with a lot of quarterbacks actually. So let's keep it moving. Let's talk about this 49ers and Buccaneers game, a game that really was frustrating for me because I'm like, look, man, I'm a
Frustrating for you?
Ravens. Yes, it was very frustrating. I want to lead this one off because look, I'm a Ravens fan. When Baker Mayfield played for the Cleveland Browns, I had no love lost for the young man. Never wanted to see him succeed. He was cocky, he was arrogant at Oklahoma. He used to piss me off, and he was humbled and kind of cast aside, and they decided to move on from him. But did you see that man out there playing like a warrior on Sunday? That's the farm he gave to Nick Bosa. All I could think was make America great. What? Mega what? Like that's stiff arm. And he completed the pass. I was rooting for him to win after that. I said, all right, you just earned my respect. You just earned my respect. And the 49ers was just missing field goal after field goal. The game closer than really needed to be, if you're going to be honest. But the Bucs hung in there. Gotta give him credit. Baker down two top receivers. All credit in the world for fighting. Bucky Irvin looked good. Hey man, I no harm in losing that ball game in San Francisco. Justin, your thoughts?
We should have won a goddamn game. What are you talking about?
Hey man,
all those reasons are reasons for us to win the game.
Agreed.
Look, I said it earlier, and I'll say it again. Like at one point, yes, I did expect us to lose ball games because you had to make the transition.
You just want Todd Bowles
from losing your two number one receivers in the same game. That's an adjustment period for any team. Like I especially someone with wide receivers, the ones that we have, right? I get it, right? Okay, we move forward. Now we had that move from forward point. Okay, 49ers, Christian McCaffrey is back. They didn't overfeed him, but they gave him some work. Yeah, he was making plays. Brock Purdy was making plays. Kittle was making all their weapons were making plays. Until they got to a certain point when he kicked the field goal and he started to miss. Cool. They gave us a shot. We was running. We was going up and down the field. When it got to that last fourth quarter, when Baker attributes go plus 10 in the fourth quarter, he is very clutch in the fourth quarter. I will give him that, especially this year, including last year too. So he gets it to a point, and we're right there. We're at the scoring mark. Through a couple penalties and things like that. We're there. We can score. We are right there. Here we go with coaching again. You do not give the ball to Rachaad White in that situation. Why is that? Because he wasn't having the best game like that. The person that was making everybody miss, the person that was giving us a spark in the backfield was Bucky Irvin. If you're going to run the ball, you give the ball to Bucky Irvin. Now, I said this at the shop. I said, well, Rachaad White he should really think about going into next season is, yes, you practice all the running plays and all the things you would do, but you need to work on wide receiver drills. He is an excellent pass catcher out the backfield. He is excellent. So he needs to be that slot type of guy.
That's what I want.
That's what he needs to be. He needs to be that. Bucky Irvin needs to be our primary. Period. So he does that. We gets nothing. He gives the ball to Rachaad White. We gets absolutely nothing. And now it's third and whatever. Bad pass, incomplete or whatever. We got to kick the field goal. That lost us the game because I said if they get the ball back, as the momentum was just slipping from our hands, it was over. They went down. They did what they had to do. We couldn't do it. So I love Baker. I think Larry mentioned it earlier. He was given that white guy cockiness type attitude that people don't like. You know what I'm saying? Beer drinking kind of guy. He humbled himself, got married, and all this other stuff. Had a kid. So now he's still that same kind of guy. It's just it's coming off much, much better, to the point where it's like, I can rock with that dude.
I agree. Yeah. Calvin.
Look, just off that one play, I think they deserved to win that ball game. I was so disappointed they didn't win. Baker just trying to will this team despite the injuries on offense. It's just what you want to see from your leader and from your quarterback. I still never thought they were going to win the division, but Baker's playing. He's just playing his heart out. He's just giving it his all, and that's what you want to see, especially if you're a Tampa Bay fan. But I just wanted him to win. I just wanted them to win that ball game just after that one play. When you see him basically stiff arm him and he's holding on to him as he completes the pass for first down on fourth down, that's the play that you say that won him that ball game, despite whatever else happened. So I was really hoping they won that ball game, but. If y'all get healthy, y'all can still make a run, but it may be too late. You know, this is y'all bye week as well, so you possibly get Mike Evans coming back next week, so you can still make a run.
He was ruled out, so he's it was like Thursday, Friday. He was ruled out, so he's close. He's close.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, the real question now is, will the 49ers be, now that they got McCaffrey back, are they ready to make a run? What did you see from the 49ers on Sunday? Did that give you any confidence that this team could take down Arizona? They could make a run at that NFC West. So, Justin, you watched it a little closer. What's your thoughts?
The thing is, with the missed field goals, you're thinking, if I put in Christian McCaffrey a little bit more, if they get in sync a little bit more, those are scoring drives to the point where they could be scoring touchdowns. So they left 9 points out there because they missed 3 field goals, but they could also score 21 points off of that too. What that did was it made the whole team resilient. When you have injuries to your wide receiver core, the white boy that got shot, Ricky Parcell, Purcell. You know, he scored his first touchdown against us. They got the backup Jennings, wide receiver. He started to be his own guy in a sense. Now you got Debo getting back into the mix. About the running back situation. Now you got Christian back into the mix. Kittle said,
catch by Kittle. Good God.
He said, "Yo, I'm that guy, and I'm going to prove I'm still that guy."
You see that catch and run though, all the way down.
Yes, I saw all that. You know, you must be talking to the people. It's all good. So yes. So to answer your question quickly. I think this is the start of them going on a nice little streak for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you really look at the game, San Francisco is pretty one-dimensional. I mean, they gave it to McCaffrey just enough to keep you honest, but Purdy was completed about 25 or 37, almost 400 yards. You know, quarterback rating over 115. He really was the one that won that ball game. I mean, when you look at that passing game, him able to target. I think he targeted like 5 different receivers, but Debo wasn't really one of them. You had McCaffrey catching 6, you had Pearsall, Jawan Jennings. So that was really Brock Purdy willing that team to a victory. So you got to give him credit as well, because it wasn't a gaudy performance with like scoring points wise. I mean, look at the numbers. He was really in control of that ball game on offense, and he was really able to get them anything that they wanted to score just enough points to win that ball game. So you got to credit Brock Purdy.
So quickly, what was y'all thoughts on Debo attacking the long snap, long snap in the kick, and then he hit the long snap, but when he came down with a shot, he hit the kicker as well.
Yeah, and the kicker kind of held him back from going after him.
Yeah. What was your thoughts on that?
Yeah,
typical.
Hey, he hit the game winner, didn't he?
Hey, get your ish together. Let's go. We're trying to win.
It's got to be more to it. It's got to be more to it than that.
One of them should have did that to him when they walked out to the entrance, because what he had on was hella red flags. So it comes and goes however you want it.
That's funny. Next up, as always, we got to talk about all 3 of our teams, and unfortunately, that includes the Dallas Cowboys. So this won't take long. Calvin, your thoughts on that ass whooping y'all took on Sunday?
Moving on.
All right.
No words.
Yeah, beat down.
Yo, that's a bad thing. God damn.
It's over. Dak's done for the year.
Look,
see y'all next year.
Hopefully we save enough money to buy some shades for that $1 billion stadium, so we can.
So what you feel about Michael Parsons? How about that? That's more relevant.
Well, first of all, Michael Parsons speaking the truth. They need to talk. I don't necessarily feel as though you need to blame your head coach, because I think he does not have the power that a head coach has because of who the GM and who the team president are. Anytime your GM, your team president has a press conference to every game, that's who you go to for that's who you go to figure out what's going on with the team after the game. Not your head coach, but your GM who's watching it in the press box. anytime your GM has a regular appearance on a talk show on every Tuesday that has quote-worthy material, that's the problem with this team. I don't blame Michael Parsons for what he says because the head coach is not empowered to make those decisions and literally just a figurehead. And it's been that way since Barry Switzer 30 years ago. Every head coach has lacked power, and that's why you can't get a decent head coach. Bill Parcells fought that power and got tired of it to a certain extent. But there's no head coach that has had the power to make decisions for that team, for personnel for that team since Barry Switzer 30 years ago. And ironically, that's the last time he won Super Bowl. So I don't blame Parsons. He's probably frustrated with the process. And from what I've heard, he slightly wants out. He knows Jerry's going to pay him, but he slightly wants out. He's just tired of the circus, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all.
I don't think he meant it the way people were twisting it to. You still can't say it. You still
I
can't
agree with
say
that.
it.
I agree with that.
Justin,
it gives credence to what Calvin was saying when it's at a certain point as a coach, you just gotta say F it, man. Like the whole world knows your situation. So if you buck against whoever pays you, you might be okay for one season, and then that be it. But then you just go somewhere else, and then you can just say like, hey, you know how Jerry is. Okay, cool. Well, you ain't gotta worry about that here. And it's that simple. Like I don't think it's a career killer to buck back against Jerry a little bit, especially when you already won a Super Bowl.
Well, see, I don't know if that'll be the curriculum, but it's harder. It's harder now for some of these older coaches to get jobs. I think because if you look at it, everybody's looking for that young hot coordinator who can coach this new style offense. Nobody's really looking for that old pro style. McCarthy runs like a old Mike Holmgren type of offense a little bit. He's not in the Shanahan tree. He's not one of these hot shots that's going to run that West Coast system. That's why Dallas is the way they are. They don't run the ball enough. He doesn't have that run style offense. It wasn't like that in Green Bay. They got that pro style. Everything's on the quarterback, the drop back, straight back on a straight line, use your mobility when necessary, and throw the ball on straight lines. Nothing, no motion, no nothing. So it's a very good chance that if he loses this job, he's done. So I mean, look
as a head coach.
Look at Rex. Rex hasn't got a new job. Look at some of these coaches that we thought, they'd take a year off and somebody will hire them. They'll be right back in the league.
But they've all had offers though,
but nothing of any significance. Nothing of any significance. Might be a coordinator somewhere, but I'm just saying, like, it's not as easy for these older coaches. How many older guys are getting jobs now?
But I think it says a lot when you have to recycle an old coach because no new coach wants to go there and deal with that circus because they all know what
Deion going there. Like somebody will go there.
I mean, if the money's gonna be right, so you gotta go there, but you deal with it enough that you know what's going to occur. And if Deion has been there, so he knows the inner workings, so he may be able to speak out a little bit more, but that doesn't mean he's not going to have a bad first couple seasons. He's going to have to overcome the same issues that
Man, Deion not going to that circus.
I don't think Deion should go there. I think Deion.
I don't think Deion
it's a spot in Las Vegas that might be available for him.
No,
especially if he's
Deion going to stay in college, man. Why would
if you're asking me, yes, I think he's going to stay there. I was just saying.
I don't know. I don't think Deion will be at Colorado necessarily in a couple years, but
if Jerry really wanted to beat these charges, he hires Belichick. That's the answer. Like, if he really wants to beat these charges, that he wants to only beat
how does that beat the charges though?
That shows that he's going to turn over the organization to someone who will run everything.
Belichick wasn't great when he was a head coach slash GM towards the end.
I agree, but he's a way better option than Mike McCarthy. He would have to bring in a coordinator who will run the offense, but I think he had that defense
bring Josh McDaniels
right now. And even when Belichick was bad the last few years in New England, the defense wasn't terrible. The defense always competed. Jared Mayo was right off Belichick's staff, and their defense is still competing up there. So I think Belichick will change the culture if that's what you were looking for. Next up, Pittsburgh Steelers defeated the Washington Commanders 28-27. I feel my voice giving out. Somebody take over for a second.
So looking back at this game, look, I expected this to be a good game. I watched this game incomplete on Sunday. Jaden Daniels and that offense really played better than I expected against the Pittsburgh defense, and Pittsburgh really hung on. I did not expect Mike Williams to have the impact that he had in game one for touchdown as soon as he comes into Pittsburgh. Did not expect that at all. However, I will go back and say I thought that was a first down at the end of that ball game. That fourth down, that was a terrible spot, in my opinion, that should have led to a field goal and led to a continued drive for Washington. They should have had the ability to keep going and see if they can get a little bit closer and get into field goal range for a game-winning field goal. In addition, they showed their inexperience when they turned the ball over on fourth down, knowing that you can't jump, knowing that you need to do ball back, knowing that you need to make a play, and then you have an unexcused error, false start, that's the game over. So they still showed that they're young and they still have some growing to do, but they played a great ball game against a great team. It was more competitive than I expected. And going to this game, I did not expect this Washington offense to score as much against this Pittsburgh defense. As much as we talk about Pittsburgh's offense, Pittsburgh defense played well. Now, they did experience an injury with Highsmith, the left defensive end, opposite T.J. Watt, but they do have Preston Smith as well. So they're just going to keep churning out those ends as well. So we'll see what happens this week against Baltimore. Baltimore's coming up against.
Wasn't that a fortuitous pickup? The week that they get Preston Smith, they lose Hightower.
Yeah,
Highsmith, I mean, wow.
Hey.
It's like
that's how it goes. But look, I think this Washington Commanders offense with a rookie quarterback against a Mike Tomlin-led defense played better than I expected. The game was more competitive than I expected, and the offense as well, the Steelers' offense. I think that this shows more of the Washington Commanders defense. They were able to put up 28 points, but however, the game was competitive. I expected more from Pittsburgh. I did think that it was the first thing. I think Washington should have had one more chance, but all in all, good game. But this is just adding to why Jaden Daniels is Rookie of the Year.
Okay, so Mr. Fields, you shouldn't have been playing. Russell Wilson, I owe you an apology. You are clearly the better quarterback in this situation, and everyone that voted against you needs to owe you an apology. You found George Pickens. He's alive. He's alive. Playing football again. He's alive. You said Mike Williams. He caught a 30-yard bomb. Pat Frymouth. Hey man, I've been looking for you. Where you at? You got in the end zone this week. They did what they're supposed to do, and the Commanders is a good team. Both these teams are highly competitive teams, and they just made one or two more plays. And if you want to bring the calls in, yeah, you can do whatever you want. Homeboy did jump 5 yards on the other side of the ball. So it is what it is. Pittsburgh is, I think they're for real. And I know they haven't had any conference games. I mean, I know division games. We get that until next week. But you can only play who's in front of you. And they are doing pretty well. I will say that.
We'll find out a lot more about these Pittsburgh Steelers in the next few weeks. So we'll definitely find out.
They got a tough schedule the last year. They play every divisional matchup. I think they play Houston, they play Kansas City, and they play one more game. So they got a really tough matchup.
But all that being said, they got Cleveland twice too. So shout out to them.
Hey, so they got 2 guaranteed victories, but they gonna need what, 3 to make the playoffs? 3, 4?
I think they got the Chargers. I think they got
the
Ravens twice. They got
the division opponent twice.
Yeah, and I think Philly. They didn't play Philly yet.
I thought they played Philly for some reason. Yeah, they got Philly. They still got Kansas City.
And Kansas City. That's a tough schedule. That's a tough schedule. Yeah. Shout out to Jaden Daniels. He played hard against a very, very, very stout defense. And like you say, shout out to Russ. Next up, I just want to briefly touch on Joe Flacco. Hey, guy, you should have did everything you could to stay in Houston. Oh, no, where was he at last year? Cleveland.
No, he was in Cleveland.
Because you don't look anything like you did last year. And so clearly there was something about that offense with Stefanski was running up there that really helped you. Because now Joe looking like the Joe we saw last couple of years in Baltimore. But Josh Allen was sensational on Sunday. Give him all the credit in the world. Was able to get his weapons involved. He lost a receiver, so that could play a big part into what we see happening against Kansas City this coming week. But the Bills just keep rolling. I said before the year, I thought this team was going to be a lot better than a lot of people think, and they continue to show that. And you got to give Josh Allen credit. And look, they went out and got Amari Cooper. And Amari Cooper hasn't done anything for this team, but it could continue winning. So, again, it hasn't done anything. So it's not like you can say that they just loaded the thing up and that's why they're winning. They find it any way, anyhow. And we talked about it earlier. Good teams find ways to win games, and that's all that really matters. Any thoughts on this matchup?
My thought is, all right, you made your point with Anthony Richardson. Let him start the rest of the season. You said it earlier, this Flacco thing, he had a spark when he started, but he's just garbage right now. And
water's been thrown on it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you need to put Anthony Richardson in just to see what you got in him again.
I mean, you just benched him 2 weeks ago against.
Hey, you made your point.
Hopefully, learned his lesson.
You made your point.
Don't tap your
NFL.
But I guess the problem I have is the reason that you said you benched him was because he gave you a better chance going forward, and we know it was probably in a response to him taking himself out of the game against Houston.
That's all it was.
All that, but,
let's move on.
Okay.
You can't kill the confidence of these young quarterbacks, and I think that's part of the issue was going on in the league. We're gonna talk about Caleb Williams a little bit later, but
do you think they make the playoffs? If he starts versus Flacco?
No, it's over.
I think they're in the same boat. I think
it's over.
Okay.
It's over. The AFC.
I thought the schedule was kind of easy, so I thought they had a shot.
They all got a shot at the beginning here. Let's move on. The Saints were able to pull out a victory over the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday. Look, my fault. Kirk Cousins is a great quarterback.
Great.
Cool, missed 3 field goals. If you don't miss those 3 field goals, you win this ball game. The interception was unfortunate. Don't get me wrong. That sack, that was a sack fumble, was unfortunate late in the game, which he was hit on his blind side, but they were all over him. The Saints were playing for their new head coach, who after Dennis Allen got fired last week. But at the end of the day, if Wayne Kane Cool, whatever the hell his name is, makes those 3 field goals,
Young Hulk,
it's a whole different animal here. The Falcons had no business
talking about.
No business.
We just lost all our Asian demographic in one swoop.
Hey, it is what it is. But if he makes those 3 field goals, this is not a game. But shout out to the interim head coach of the New Orleans Saints for getting a W. Calvin, I know you Wayne Kane Cool. He missed 3 of them.
I sound like somebody from Mortal Kombat.
Here's what it is. Calvin, I know you're a Kirk Cousins hater. Go and get your hate out.
Well, Kirk Cousins lost me some money. That's why.
I knew it had something to do with it.
But look, new head coach in New Orleans. They got a spark. Even with basically no receivers. But they
Alvin Kamara missed a wide open touchdown.
Look, they gave up 2 receivers to the rookie wide receiver. But look, spark with the new head coach. That's also something that you got to take into account. For new head coach, new voice. They just had that. They just had a spark. But it's a terrible loss for Atlanta, a team that has destined to win the NFC South.
They'll still win.
You have to win you have to win these matchups. You have to win these matchups, especially when you're a better team. Even if you're on the road, they just came out like they just expected to win and didn't think that the Saints were going to put up such a fight. And they found themselves down early and trying to catch up, and they just couldn't catch up. Missed field goal at the missed field goal, missed play at the missed play, allowing big plays on defense. So give the Saints credit for winning this ball game.
I'm looking at their remaining games. They got the Broncos next, and then the Chargers for the Falcons. You know that record going to get a little bit closer to 500, and then we're gonna see 500 Kirk. That's the Kirk I'm used to. Right around 500. Yeah, they probably lose both again. That's what I want. See, he was going too far in that win and on that one side of 500. So just the law of average is going to pull him back down to a 500 because he's just a really really good average quarterback, and it shows. There's no hate. And that rookie you was talking
legal
about,
hand to the face that was uncalled. Look at that hit.
It happens. I mean, sometimes they don't call it. So y'all know that. So yeah, it is what it is. That they played well enough to win this game. And like you said, if Cool makes his field goals, this game is over.
What's his name, Justin?
New Orleans. I say Cool. I'm not going to butcher it. I'm not going to mess up the one or two Asians that watch this show. I'm not going to do nothing to them. So with that being said, it is what it is. And let's see if Atlanta can bounce back. It's over for the Saints, and they're just playing for pride at this point.
Yeah, we'll talk about another team that is over for. Let's talk about them New York Jets, the team that one of us picked to go to the Super Bowl. I can't remember who picked that team, but yeah, they sitting here somewhere. The Jets were absolutely demolished, destroyed, and they made the Arizona Cardinals look like an actual contender in the NFC. A lot of people now are trying to elevate Kyler Murray. I heard in the comments talking about Kyler Murray as an MVP candidate. I said for beating the Jets. Like, come on.
That was a wild statement.
Slow down. It was the Jets. Slow down.
That was a wild statement.
That Cardinals defense was sensational, though. They were all over Aaron Rodgers' ass. But if you watch that game, Aaron Rodgers holds on the ball far too long, which has been an issue for him. He think his mobility is still the same as it used to be. It's not. But I'm not going to waste my time talking about the Jets. Give the Cardinals their credit. Kyler Murray has been efficient, been proficient with the football. They're able to score in the red zone. Third down efficiency is good. Inside against zone, man, doesn't matter. The guy's calling touchdowns 10 yards before he gets to the end zone. Like, he just in his bag. I don't know what they did, but they woke him up. Shout out to Kyler Murray. And them Arizona Cardinals look like they're for real in that AFC West. Justin, your thoughts?
Guys, it's over. It's over, guys.
You held on longer than I thought.
I tried, man. I gave him every up and down in the season. I swung it to a positive, and it's over. The look they had on their faces was complete and utter defeat. Not just because they lost the game. They was like, yo, it's over. And I can't support a team that they don't even think they can believe that they're going to win. That's like Dak Prescott saying, like, yo, we absolutely suck. Like, it's the same as that thing. They just know that it's over. And, yeah, it's over. What's
really sad about this is if you're going to lose with your stuff you're supposed to be good at. You know what I mean? Like, you got Breece Hall. Has he been a factor at all this year? Like what is going on?
I thought he was close to that 2,000 yards.
That's what 2,000. It's in sight.
When he ran well and he had Zach Wilson as his quarterback, then one is led to believe, oh, what you going to do when you got Aaron Rodgers, and the team is worse.
It's way worse. Way worse.
You got your brother Devontae, and all he's doing is complaining. Now you got your diva receiver on a losing team. Hey man, it's
we'll have a whole new offense next year.
Blow it up.
And then blow everything up.
They can need something because they ain't got no draft picks. Calvin, go ahead.
I thought they got picks this year.
I thought they traded away some picks to get people.
I thought they traded the picks last year for Rodgers, but they got picks this year. I think they have their.
We'll have to look at that. Pick. We'll have plenty of time to examine it. Don't worry, they ain't got nothing else to worry about.
They got plenty of time to examine it too.
That's what we talking about.
Look, I had house for the Jets. They still have an outside shot of getting to the playoffs. I'm not going to throw in the towel like Justin did. I will stay on for one more week. I think they have a strong chance of going 9-7. And sneaking into that last wild card spot, and from there, all you have to do is get in. and then it's win or go home.
Thank you, because that's just foolish talk at the end of the day.
Let's
I was the
move
one
on.
that was holding on to hope. What are you
So
talking
Justin,
about?
any other look, he's still talking, thinking we hearing him or something.
No, he see that big ass mic is off. He see that. He just,
Oh God.
all right.
Oh God. So Justin, any other matchups that caught your eye over the weekend?
As I was saying,
No.
the New York Jets are still in the thick of this.
All right. Any other matchups that we didn't talk about that caught your eye, Justin?
This ain't accurate 100%, but
This is week 4. That's fine.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. All right.
The
Give me 1
Rams
second.
and the Dolphins to me was pretty telling. One, you know, I just I'm weaning on Tua and his everyday quarterback play.
Still got a chance.
It's
Like
tough, but it was an entertaining game to see nonetheless, and they still got a shot. And it's just interesting that big team still got a shot in the way.
I'll give them more of a chance than the Jets. Let's just put it that way. I definitely will, because they actually have some continuity, actually get some guys back that actually want to play as a team. Defensively, they were firing off the ball last night. They made the Rams defense look very pedestrian. I mean, offense look very pedestrian.
Yeah.
Puka Nacua got his catches and all that, but it wasn't for much. And they were in Matthew Stafford's ass all night long. Shout out to Miami's defense. It really came to work last night, despite a lot of injuries they faced. Any other matchups jump out to you that we didn't talk about, Calvin, from this past week?
Yeah, when did this Caleb Williams regression begin? Was that Hail Mary that daunting that they're still trying to get over that? I don't think they've scored a touchdown. I think it was like the last 8 quarters, or basically it was post Hail Mary. But I don't understand what happened to that offense. I mean, they're trying to have him drop back with 7-step drops and create things down the field. Let's reestablish the run game. You have 3 weapons, 4 weapons if you include Cole Kmet. You're not utilizing them properly. You have a run game with DeAndre Swift that should be able to take pressure off a young quarterback. But just watching that game and seeing the lack of offense, and I'm not sure. I don't want to blame it all on Caleb Williams. I just think it's the offensive system thus far is really concerning for a young quarterback, especially when you have other young quarterbacks. Even Drake May playing better, and he's only been starting for 3 or 4 weeks, and you can see the progression with him, especially late in games. The clutch touchdown throw last week. So it's just concerning to see what has happened to Caleb Williams versus Drake May and Jaden Williams, who seem to be flourished in their role as starting quarterbacks during their rookie year.
Yeah, well, they fired the offensive coordinator today.
Yeah.
So I don't think we have any big changes right now, but we should be looking at some changes probably next year. But again, this is rookie year. I think a lot of times we judge rookies a little bit too soon. Let that man learn, take his lumps, and we'll see what happens in the future. Let's get into some of these divisions and look at where we're standing right now. Any big mix-ups, any changes? Again, Houston still look like they're the class of the AFC South. I think that's one of those divisions where you can see a lot of those teams really don't. That's the division you're beating up on right now. Arizona, again, look at that NFC West. Everybody has basically 4 losses. So as much as we're talking about Arizona looks good and yickety, it's close. It's real like right there. So 4 losses for the Rams, 49ers, Cardinals. They're all neck and neck. So it's not really something where we should be like, it's over or anything like that. So we shall see. I'm really, really intrigued to see how this season pans out. Am I a week behind on this list here?
Yeah.
I think I'm a week behind.
Yeah.
You know, I put it in messages so you ain't had to say it out loud.
What? Well,
I tried to help. I ain't gonna lie to you.
It's probably the only time you've ever tried to.
Wait a second here. What? That's very great. Let's get into our power rankings.
There you go.
I think there's another slot coming up that will make this make a little bit more sense. So last week's power rankings, before we got to do a little bit of a refresher. Calvin, you had the Lions at number 1 spot, and you had the Falcons bringing up the rear. Pause. Justin, you had Kansas City at number 1 with Washington as your number 17. I had the Lions at number 1 with the Falcons coming up at last. So this week, I think we should go a little reverse snake. I'll start us off because look, a man is somebody who can look at the things they say and admit when they're wrong. And for right now, I will have to drop the Washington Commanders down on this list. I'm going to put them as my number 17. I still have some faith in them, but I have to openly admit, after a devastating loss like that, I still think they're a really good team. It's no harm in losing to Pittsburgh the way they did, but because of that loss, I do think that puts Pittsburgh right up in that category, and the Steelers will enter at number 6 in my power rankings this week. Coming in at number 5, I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles. Number 4, the Baltimore Ravens. Number 3, the Buffalo Bills. Number 2, the Kansas City Chiefs. And number 1 team is still, for me, the Detroit Lions. I know people might be saying, how could you have Detroit ahead of Kansas City when Kansas City's undefeated? Well, I always think what Detroit did was even more impressive on the road in Houston with all the adversity they faced to come and still get, despite the quarterback playing as poorly as he did, everybody else played sensational. Everybody else did their job. The defense put a shutout in the second half, and they didn't need no blocked field goal to win. They won that game outright in the end, coming all the way back. So that keeps them at number 1 in my power rankings for the week. Justin, what you got?
All right. Okay, so Washington is no longer in my top 7.
Okay.
You want to add the Pittsburgh to the top 7 for me. Number 7, sir. Pittsburgh Steelers. Somebody got to give them some respect on this damn show. And to me, everybody else won. So we're going to keep it.
Keeping everybody else
no, let's switch it up, son. Let's switch it up. No, we're going to switch it up, son. Minnesota drops to number 6.
I knew the bye week would hurt them.
Yeah,
they ain't no bye.
They're just not the same team. No, they played.
They played terribly.
They played terribly.
They played terribly.
Yeah. They scored 12 points. It was just enough for them to win. So they still in my top 7. I'm not going to disrespect them. I'm keeping them out. Now you can run them off. Baltimore right next to them. And then Philly, Buffalo, Detroit, and Kansas City still.
So just tell me why Kansas City number 1, because they haven't been beaten.
Tell me a flaw which caused them to lose.
All right. I'm just asking. I want you to explain your picks. That's all. I get it.
I could do that all day.
I get it. All right, Calvin, what you got?
So I have Washington as number 7. They did lose, but they had a better performance than, in my opinion, than Atlanta, than a couple other teams that I could put in my top 7, including Minnesota. I have Pittsburgh. I added them to my list. I had them number 6. They did beat this Washington team. It was a game that was competitive. It was a game in which I think the offense really stepped up. I'm not really sure this was the game that Justin Fields could have won if he was starting quarterback. So I have to give them their respect. I had Philadelphia at my number 5 slots. Going forward at number 4, I have Buffalo. The top 4 remain in the order: Ravens, KC, and Detroit. Both KC and Detroit kind of won ugly, but my last impression of KC is that offense really putting up a stinker and needing a block field goal to win. My last impression of Detroit is the shutout that they pitched on the road against Houston to not only shut them down and then also win that ball game. So both teams did not play well, but I think the better unit, that Detroit defense of those four, played well, and the offense stepped up when they needed to. When they needed to score a point second half, they did that. And I still got Detroit number one.
So it's interesting that our teams are pretty much similar, except the only caveat is the Minnesota Vikings, Justin's team, and he doesn't have Washington. So right now, you think Minnesota is just a better overall team than Washington Commanders, Justin, and you project that out, or is this just this week alone?
It's up until this point. We
That
can't
Minnesota team that Minnesota
judge
team
on
we
the
saw on
future.
Sunday. The Minnesota team we saw Sunday is better than Washington,
How many did they score? 12?
but 16, something like that.
It was 12, 16. And that means whoever they played against scored less than that, right? So that
You're
means
right.
their defense showed up, right?
They played Jacksonville.
Okay.
They played the backup quarterback. I hope their
Hey,
defense showed up.
Hey, they showed up. That's all that matters. You can only play
They
one
played the
from
backup quarterback.
Hey,
You say they
I
showed
like
up.
that.
I'll say they played the backup quarterback.
I like the
still
clarity
showed
of
up.
convictions. I like
Okay.
that. All right, so those are our power rankings for this week. We're going to take a look at our Super Bowl picks, just to give people a refresher. And if you had to stick with your team, your picks, who would you move, Calvin? Do you still have full confidence in all of your picks going forward?
I think Tampa Bay is done just because of the injuries, and I think they're having to chase NFC North division, in which everyone I think is at least 500, but you have three teams that are 2 games over 500. I think that's going to be too much for them. So I have to replace Tampa. I still like the Rams. I still think they can come in a wild card. I'm not holding out hope for Arizona to maintain that lead in the division. So I still like San Francisco. And then in the AFC, I guess I gotta get rid of Jets. No, I got one more week.
Okay.
I got one more week. I'm holding on.
Well, I like most of my teams. Only one that's shaky on is Cleveland.
That's beyond shaky.
Yeah. In Indianapolis. If I could
That thing is
remove
all
those,
shook out.
if I could remove Cleveland and Indianapolis, I would be perfect. And of course, I would put Pittsburgh and probably the Los Angeles Chargers in those two slots. And I think I would be on the money for both conferences. So I'm pretty confident in the overall landscape of my divisions. Justin, how about yourself?
You start this off by saying Super Bowl, and because you said Super Bowl first, I have to then say that I am 100% incorrect on this one. The Jets will probably not make the Super Bowl if the playoffs at all. But my NFC representation is still there. I still think Philadelphia is still the class of the NFC once it's all said and done. So I'll just fall back on that side of it. Yeah.
Okay, I agree. Let's see. Next week's matchups. Any matchups that stand out to you? Of course, this is Ravens Steelers week here in Baltimore. We're going to Pittsburgh. Always a tough place to play in Heinz Field. The game is always close to that fourth quarter when they start playing that damn Renegade, and then all bets are off. So the Ravens will need to put up a lot of points. That's all I'm going to say. They will need to create some separation and make this not a close game in the fourth quarter. Put this team away. Turn Russ over if you can. He will throw you one or two if you play him right. Don't play him short. Play him deep. And just go tackle guys underneath. You just got to do that, man. Do not let him beat you over the top with their moon balls. That is the key to this game. The other game of the week definitely is Kansas City and Buffalo. Justin, what's the game that you're most looking forward to? Is it one of those ball games?
No, it is. Really, honestly, bro, that top row is tough. Across the board. So I just out of to stay away from the Pittsburgh Ravens game, I just go pretty much the same location, Washington and Philadelphia. I like to see how that plays out. I like to see JD5 going against Jalen Hurts. I would like to see Jalen Hurts put some separation between the two. People are bringing down Jalen Hurts and they're raising JD5 like they're the same player, and I don't like that for Jalen Hurts. Go out and prove. Get up and go out and prove that you are one of the best in the, NFL quarterbacks this game.
I agree. Calvin?
I'm looking forward to that Seattle-San Francisco matchup. San Francisco wins, then they will be tied with Arizona. I mean, I think they lose the tiebreak because they lost their first game to Arizona, and if Seattle wins their game back. But that NFC West is just so tight that you can't afford to lose a matchup, especially a divisional matchup. If LA takes care of business against New England, then they're tied one game behind Arizona. So it's really tight, and victories are going to be really tough to get, especially, like I said, with the divisional matchup. So that's going to be an important matchup in that division.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so again, we're going to keep an eye on a lot of these matchups. It's going to be an interesting week. I really am looking forward to see this test. Will the Ravens will the Ravens be able to hold the Steelers in check? I'm excited. Go ahead.
Don't say, does the winner of that game win the division?
I think so. The Ravens still have a tough schedule. I know we talk about Pittsburgh got a tough schedule. Ravens got a tough schedule too. They still got to play Philly. They still got to play Houston. They still got Pittsburgh twice, basically. They still, you know what I mean? Like, they ain't no walk in the park for them either, if you want to be honest. They still got to play LA Chargers.
I think it's easier than Pittsburgh.
Ain't nothing easy.
Let me say, you're right. I think their schedule is not as difficult.
They should have beat Cleveland. They should have beat the Raiders. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing here? Right. Nothing's easy with this team. All right, one question I did have, and I thought this was a very interesting topic I saw, and it was the top 10 jersey sales in the NFL right now. And if you look at that, look at the name that's not there. You got C.J. Stroud. You got Caleb Williams. That makes sense. Young players, a lot of people maybe haven't had a chance to go out and purchase their jerseys yet. But you still got Mahomes there, defending Super Bowl champion, MVP of the Super Bowl, still a big star. You got Aiden Hutchinson at number 4 for the Detroit Lions, a defensive player. But then you got JD5 at number 5. Makes sense. Outstanding rookie. Amon-Ra St. Brown, a Detroit Lion, at 2 Lions in the top 5, top 6. That's wild to me. CeeDee Lamb, the only Cowboy on this list. Josh Allen's up there. Justin Jefferson. Max Crosby. Who's missing, Calvin? Who is not on this list?
Could it be the reigning MVP?
Baker Mayfield. Yeah. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. Y'all was going a different direction.
What does that say? That Lamar Jackson, the reigning MVP, one of the most exciting players in the league. You think at this point everyone has his jersey because he's been around a while? But then what does that say about Patrick Mahomes? What does that say? You know what I mean? Like, I really was stunned when I saw this list. What was your thoughts?
So initially looking at this, of course, it seems to be mostly quarterbacks, but just a surprise. If you want to ask me why he's not on the list, my initial thought is because his popularity has been since 2019 initial MVP season that most people have his jersey, and a lot of the players are new or newer players into the league. Your C.J. Stroud, your Caleb Williams,
but your Josh Allen, your Patrick Mahomes.
But the Josh Allen one I can't explain unless you're going to say that his welcome is coming out party was last year, coming in second to Lamar Jackson MVP. I just don't know. I'm really surprised. I'm finding it hard to explain why.
Is it marketing?
We've seen him in more commercials. He's in the NFL commercials, in the Gatorade commercial. We've seen the publicity talk about the Baltimore Ravens every week, which seems to be for the last year or so as well. We've seen the highlight plays against Cincinnati, the run last week against Cincinnati as well. I can't explain it.
Justin, you got any thoughts?
I do. It's not right. It's not fair C.D. Stroud, light-skinned brother. Caleb Williams, light-skinned brother. Patrick Mahomes, the prototypical light-skinned brother.
Can't get no light
Jaden
on
Daniels, a little bit, but
J.D.
still on the
Brown.
lighter side.
No, bro.
Yeah,
A little flimsy.
CD,
Yeah, black as get.
That's a Dallas Cowboys representative. They are still
Okay.
America's team, so someone's
That's
gonna
fair.
have to buy them jerseys.
Justin
Jefferson.
He got the young crowd.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
but
saying?
he out
He got the young
complexion.
crowd.
It doesn't hold up with the light skin.
He got the young crowd on lock, TikTok and all that other stuff.
It's true.
Right.
With the,
You know what I'm saying?
with the credit
And-
and all that.
You know, it's the other guy from Baltimore. He doesn't fit anybody's mold. And I guess as a result, he gets ostracized from a lot of things. And this is just one of those things. He's just starting to get the endorsement deals and things like that. I personally think he was turning them down. Personally, I think he was turning them down. You don't see a two-time MVP not in anything. So I think he wanted to prove himself a little bit more before he started to do those kind of things. Basically the opposite of Baker Mayfield.
I think Baker Mayfield hurt a lot of them people. Like, nah, we don't want to be like that. You know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying? So that's what happens, and you saw the other side of it. So, but I mean, if it's not what I originally brought up, and is it the fact that he's just started to get his name out there when it comes to endorsements and seeing him and stuff like that? And even with the Gatorade, it's one of 10 other players that's like on those ads. It's not just him.
But I thought there is one where it's just him though.
But it's not like a discount, double check, State Farm type stuff. It's none of those things. It's just, you're just a Gatorade athlete like everybody else. So that's just I don't know. Other than what are you going to fill in the blank with? Lamar should be top 5. Period.
I agree. I just found it interesting when I was looking through, and I'm like, huh?
Where's my Negro at? I don't see him on there.
Ah, man, come on, man. My man is an MVP, about to be 3 times over.
2 times.
Like, come on, guys. Come on. Anyway, this weekend, big UFC fight. Switching gears to some fight talk. Stipe Miocic steps in the octagon to try to take down probably the greatest fighter in UFC history at this point. He's undefeated outside of that one disqualification that he suffered many years ago, and that's Jon Jones returning to the octagon. Jon Jones is not without controversy. Remember, Jon Jones moved up from light heavyweight champion for many years to go to heavyweight, and he was dominant. He's been accused of steroid use. He's been accused of, hitting and running a young lady, hitting and running. He got accused of when the doping agency came to his house to take his urine sample, that he refused the letter in the house. He knocked her phone out of hand. He just got off on that charge. Jon Jones is always in the news for something. So for him to finally be back in the octagon this weekend, it's going to be a big one now. Stipe is no joke, former world heavyweight champion. This is a legit heavyweight, and this will be a big one. But it's not just about this two. There's a loaded card, guys. I mean, if you don't know about Charles Oliveira and Michael Chandler, they're going to have a barn burner on the undercard, on a semi-main. You got Bo Nickel in action. I mean, look, this is a good card for a UFC pay-per-view, and it is very rare that we get a card like this. And we haven't had one in a while, so I'm very excited to be taking this in. I know Rick hit me up, talking about what you doing Saturday night. I said, I don't know yet, but I'm going to be watching this fight somewhere. It should be one you don't want to miss. Calvin, I know you're a fight fan. Your thoughts on Jon Jones getting back in the octagon?
It's about damn time, finally, since March of 2023. And especially right there, we were highly anticipating this matchup. I'm excited to see his matchup, and possibly the last time Jon Jones fights in the UFC as well.
Yeah,
so you gotta take that into account as well. we haven't seen Stipe in 3 years as well. Am I correct in saying that?
He looks a little thinner than normal.
He looks in better shape. I mean, after the injury earlier this year, he looks to be in better shape. But I'm looking forward to this matchup. Of course, I'm taking John Jones, but I want to see how much Stipe has left. I want to see what he has left, and I really do think that initial Cormier loss was a fluke. But so I do think Jones is the better fighter out of these two, especially in the trio. So how anticipate this matchup? And I like John Jones this weekend.
Justin, your thoughts?
So I will say that it's an interesting narrative for both sides. John Jones gets the best fighter of all time, right? He gets that. But if I'm Stipe, people consider him the best heavyweight of all time. He has a lot of key wins. A lot of people lost to Francis in Guadalajara, whatever. I don't want to be butchered. I just did Ngannou. So, but he did beat him as well. So, it's like you said, it's a true heavyweight. We don't know how John Jones' injury will affect him or not affect him. To have a complete shoulder tear and to come back, and this is your first fight back, it's going to be tough. At the same time, too, is Stipe too much of a family man now? Is he say like, yo, I'm pretty much 42, I'm on my way out? Will that be a factor? Is it just one last payday, or the fact that maybe if they would have fought last year or whatever, or 6 months or a year ago, then it would have been like, yo, I'm still in kind of a flow. He had to wait as well. So does that bring rust on his end? So a lot of question marks in this. So do I want to go John Jones? Yeah, I'll go John Jones, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as people are expecting it to be. But then again, John Jones makes the hardest things look pretty goddamn easy at the same time, too. So, we'll see.
A lot of people are actually taking Stipe in this fight because John Jones only had one fight at heavyweight. I mean, let's call it what it is. And even that fight was like, you know what I mean? Like, he stepped up
kicked his ass.
Fight. I won't. But was that wasn't about did he win it that fight? But was that the type of competition that you really be like, oh, I'm impressed by that? He didn't go in there with no killer. He was somebody who knew. And what you say, John Jones come back from a shoulder tear. Why do you get shoulder tears? Because you're putting on too much mass at an elevated rate. Maybe because you were juiced and your body wasn't really ready to take that. And you in the gym working out, and that tear happens because anytime you tear your pec, anytime you tear your shoulder, anytime you tear anything like that, triceps, is normally because of your steroid use or your HGH or whatever you were using. It's not. It just wasn't ready for that type of movement and that all that muscle mass to be added at such a rapid pace. I want to see how John holds up after a full training camp. After this guy has time to prepare, knowing John Jones is a skilled technician. We know how he fights. John Jones is not a knockout artist. John Jones isn't the type of guy that's going to go in there and you got to worry about one punch power. But you know who you got to worry about that with? Stipe Miocic. Stipe has one punch knockout power. Now, we never seen John Jones knocked out, but you know who we seen on his back a lot? John Jones. Go back and watch that Alexander Gustafsson fight. Alexander Gustafsson beat this man into a pulp.
When he both ended up in the hospital?
He should have beat him. That was one of the most controversial finishes, one of the most controversial decisions in UFC history. Kind of crazy that they gave it to him, but he won. I'm not taking anything away from John. He won the fight. But to say that that's going to be, it's just a layup that all of a sudden he's going to walk in there and beat me up. If this fight is on the feet, Stipe has one punch power that can knock John Jones out at any time. I think this is a very intriguing fight. This will be one of those matchups where you watch two guys go back and forth, and we're holding our breath because at any given time, John Jones can hit a high kick and knock him out. John Jones, because he does have those sneaky kicks where he might knock you out with a kick, might hit you with a back elbow or something, knock you out. So I'm not taking anything away from John, but he doesn't. He's not the type of guy that's just going to stand there and you think if he throws his blow, he's going to knock me out. I don't see that happening. I think most likely this will go to a decision, and I do favor John in that respect. But if it's on his feet in a hands fight, Stipe has a chance to knock this guy out. It's going to be very interesting on Saturday night.
You think it goes the distance?
I think it's got a chance to, but with these big guys like this, somebody's getting knocked out. Somebody's getting knocked out. It's just heavyweight fights don't necessarily too often. But before we get to Saturday night, there's a fight on Friday night on Netflix. Yeah, that's right, on Netflix for free. Logan Paul,
Wait, it's for free?
It's for free. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson on Netflix for free. If you have a Netflix subscription, you can tune in live on Friday night from Dallas, Texas, Arlington to be exact. Jerry World, Mike Tyson, Jake Paul. There's been billed as some type of big dream match for Mike coming back into the ring after years away. We all grew up on Mike. We all grew up on the real Mike, not this gimmick fight Mike. Well, last time we saw Mike in the ring, he was against Roy Jones. He threw a couple blows here and there, but it was more of an exhibition. Everybody thought Mike looked sharp, but it was exhibition. What could you really expect? What are you looking to see from this fight this Friday night, Calvin?
You watch for Mike Tyson, you hope to see some flash of what used to be, and then you realize, look at all the rules and stipulations of this matchup and realize where it's going to be, and it's just a glorified exhibition fight in which I don't know what to expect. I don't want to see when you think of Mike Tyson, you want to see him fight. You think of prime Mike Tyson. You think about what he used to be. You think about what he used to do in the ring. And I think that's what you expect when you look at this fight, regardless of the age. And then you look at Jake Paul, and the sensation that he's become, the flash in the pan, the willingness to fight anyone, MMA or boxers. And then it's a good lead into Saturday night, and I think that's all it is. I don't expect much from it. I think the hype got to it, even with it being pushed back because of a couple injuries as well. So I'm not expecting much from it. I may tune in just to catch it, but it won't be on my list of my first list of viewing pleasures because basketball is on Friday night.
Well, it's going to be one of the highest grossing events in
it's in Dallas. It's a ton of seats to sell.
And the eyeballs will be on this fight on Netflix. Justin, your thoughts?
Everything in me is pulling for Tyson. I'll say this. Logan Paul is a better wrestler than Jake Paul is as a boxer. I'll say that first and foremost. I hope it's just not a money grab. Tyson got bread, man. That marijuana money is heavy for him. Like it's flowing. So if it is that, then hopefully he's to the point where he looks respectable. He's 58. So I give him all the credit in the world for doing this. He looks good in training so far. He doesn't look like an old decrepit dude. We'll see what happens when he gets hit. He's going to get hit. And I don't know how well he can respond to those hits at a 50-year-old face. But at the same time, when those combinations starts flowing, can Jake Paul take some? He's going to take a little bit of punishment now. Let's not forget, Roy Jones said it during the exhibition, like his trainer wanted him to, do certain combinations against him, and he was like, "Hell no," because I don't want the possibility of Tyson snapping back into his old ways to catch me. Right. And I don't even want that. And that's a former fighter. So I mean, Roy Jones is one of the greatest fighters of all time. So with that being said, it's just I'm looking forward to it, and I hope Tyson knocks his ass out. But if he does knock him out, I was like, I hope that's enough for you, Tyson, for you to wrap it up for good. You know, no more exhibition fights. None of that. Give it up. Give it up.
And
So we'll see.
so, because they're fighting in what 12, 14-ounce gloves too. Did I read that correctly? So they want to make it look like it's in pain being dished out.
Well, yeah, I mean it's an exhibition. At the end of the day, you want people to suspend their, belief system and buy in for the fight. But it'll be interesting to keep an eye on this. I just think right now the way things are, boxing has taken such a change. You heard about the Saudis bought Ring Magazine. So now Ring Magazine basically controls, you got the WBO, IBF, and WBA. Ring Magazine is one of those ones. I think they over the WBA. So they will have the governing body over one of the championship divisions. So now Saudi Arabia has been having a lot of the big fights here lately. They've been the backers for a lot of. Remember that couple they had earlier this year. They had Eminem had the concert, and then they had what was it, Earl Spence or one of them had a fight right afterwards and stuff like that. So Saudi basically is taking over boxing. They like the big new promoter, and they're behind a lot of these freak show fights you've been seeing the last few years. With your Jake Pauls, with your having these fights where you're like, why is this person fighting? Why is this MMA guy fighting this boxing guy? Why is Jake Paul fighting this Tyron Woodley or whatever like that? That's Saudi Arabia, and they paying people big money. They actually been paying Tyson Fury to come over there and fight some guy for big money, making way more than you can make here in the United States. So they're changing the game, and
good.
We're going to see more and more fights like this as time goes on. So again, get used to it. Don't think this is an anomaly. Like if Tyson's come back, don't you say what's he doing it for? Oh, he getting paid. Oh, no doubt about it. Like the Weed's money is good, but Tyson still. Hey, if you're going to pay me all that money to get in there and throw hands with a guy who never really fought professionally, I can tussle around with him for a little bit. This is all about the money, pal. This is all about the money. Believe that. And let's get into college football before we get out of here. The top 12 week 2 came out recently. This evening, I didn't get the chance to make a slide for it, but we'll very quickly go over it. The top 12 right now, as it stands, Georgia coming in at number 12 after that total destruction they took this week. The fact that they are still in the top 12 is a miracle. Don't you agree? Like, good grief. That's astounding to me because they look like absolute garbage. Anyway, if the 12 team CFP bracket projection is correct, you got Oregon at number 1, Texas at number 2, BYU. Because BYU is a division winner, they get an automatic bid. They're up there, and you got Miami. Those are your first 4. Then you got Boise. Excuse me, you got Penn State. I'm looking at this out of order. Indiana.
The rankings update tomorrow, right?
It's Tuesday tonight, 7:00. It came out. Yeah, so I'm looking at it right now. The way they do it, they break down the brackets and slide them up according to, because the top 25 came out, but then they delivered. Everything is a little different according to, because you gotta, if you a division winner, you get slotted at a particular position.
Yeah, you 1 through 4. I mean? You 1 through 5. I'm sorry.
So you got the tops is Oregon, Texas, BYU, and Miami. It's 4. Those are your top 4s. And then if the playoff was to start now, it'd be Boise State and Ohio State, Notre Dame and Tennessee, Ole Miss and Penn State, and Alabama and Indiana, which is an interesting matchup if you ask me. Jalen Milroe looked crazy the other day, man. That man was running the ball. It was a torrential downpour. I get that. But for a quarterback to have, what he had, like 4 touchdowns on the ground, just ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
They ran LSU out the stadium. Any thoughts on the college football playoff and how things stand right now? Oregon sitting at the top of everything.
I don't want to stand the love for Indiana, but I think things will shake out in the long run. Miami took a bad loss last week, and I think that hurt
Terrible
Cam
loss.
Ward's Heisman candidacy as well. But look, the top four remain unchanged except for the order this week. You win your division, your top four, you get a bye, and I think that should be the key. The question I have going forward, and what I want to see it answer is, will you allow a 3-loss SEC into the top 12? Because I think you're going to have the question for one, either Georgia or Alabama, especially if one of them makes the SEC conference SEC championship. You still have you're most likely going to have Texas in there, who unless they lose as well. But will you allow a 3-loss SEC team in the top 12? And that'll be interesting as well. I still think Georgia can sneak in as well. Even though they lost, they still have good wins against. Did they beat? Oh, they beat Ohio. I'm not thinking. They have a good top 10 win. I think they beat Tennessee. That's what I'm thinking of. But Alabama is beating Tennessee. Alabama's also gonna play Ole Miss. Alabama plays Tennessee. I believe Tennessee and Ole Miss also play each other as well. So the SEC is going to really shake itself out. But I think you can have a Texas win the division. And you also can have a 3-loss team that makes some noise as well. But that's what I'm looking forward to right now. I think those top 4 are pretty much set. The only thing that would be interesting, if BYU loses, then Boise State has the potential to go from 12 to top 4, because you got to have one non-power conference winner in there as well. So I think that's going to be interesting as well. I don't know BYU's schedule, but I had them losing last week to Utah. That was a tough matchup as well.
Does Colorado catch them?
I don't know if they have the schedule allows it. They got to win the conference title. I think that's the only way, and that means
that's the only way. That's pretty much the only way.
That means you got to beat Oregon, because they're in the Big Ten as well. So
no, Colorado Big 12.
Big 12.
Big 12. So that means they got to beat. Well, okay. So they got a shot.
They got a shot.
They trying to take out BYU.
They got to beat BYU.
They trying to take BYU themselves. Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
So they got a shot.
They play this weekend. Come think of it.
Well, they play this weekend. That's a huge game.
I didn't think they played.
If it's not this weekend, it's the weekend it's coming up.
They play Utah this week.
That's a big game
Colorado
too.
plays Utah this week.
That's a big game. Yeah, very interesting. Justin, your thoughts?
I was big Cam fan, so you taking that loss, it hurts, but at the same time, it's needed,
top 4
because they still got their they had one to give, and they gave it up. Okay, cool. Get back, get refocused. I'm not mad at that. I mentioned Colorado. I guess the only other person that I will bring up is Ashton Gentry and his race to get to Barry's all-time record when it comes to rushing, and he's still on pace. Like, it ain't like it's out the
300 yards behind.
That's
you got 3 weeks to go.
Yeah, that's one good game for and he just gave you
200 yards behind his pace. That's a lot.
It's still up for grabs. So I'm just saying that's just something else that I'm looking at towards the end of the college football season.
Yeah, should be interesting. Anyway, I thought that was a very interesting week in college to have those two big juggernauts going head to head, and both games were pretty much blowouts. But anyway, Texas got a big game this weekend coming up. Tennessee has a big game. I mean, it seems like every week, because of the way these divisions have been shaken up, you got big games every week now. The SEC is ridiculous. Just ridiculous, honestly, with some of these matchups you're going to see. In the Big Ten, same thing, like loaded, just up and down. Every week is a big-time marquee match.
Next week is the week, because I think Indiana, Ohio State play. So I think if Indiana loses, they fall out the top 12.
It'll shake
That opens up the spot for you right there.
Yeah, it'll shake
the only BYU only will play Colorado if they make the title game, because they don't have them on the schedule.
Okay, I was thinking of Utah. That's what it was, because I was like, it's that team I was thinking about. They're like, they pretty good, but they not the team you thinking of. But yeah, that makes sense.
Ain't BYU in Utah?
Yeah,
I think it's in Utah.
It's in Utah. Yeah, it's in Utah.
Did they play Boise? Look at the rest of their schedule.
Does Colorado play Boise?
Yeah, who they play left? Take a look at that real quick, because I know it was a team I was looking at. Like, they get over them, I think they smooth sailings because that's
Now
gonna
they
be great.
have Utah, Kansas, and Oklahoma State left.
Hey, Oklahoma State can score, but they can score too. So very interesting. Should be fun. Keep an eye on that. That's all I have tonight, fellas. You got anything else you wanted to discuss? We're getting up here at 11 o'clock.
No, right on 2 hours, man. We right on
We're
pace.
doing better. We're doing better. And my voice seems to be getting a little better as the show gone along. So I appreciate that. It's been good. This has been a fun show. Appreciate you all who have tuned in tonight. Thanks for the comments and everything like that. Continue to share the live. We're going to be doing something a little different. If you notice, we didn't talk any NBA tonight because we will be doing a special. We brought it up last week, a special NBA in-season tournament coverage. The in-season tournament started tonight. I'm sure we've seen some scores popping across. I'm sure some of you probably been watching the games. We haven't got a chance to really focus in on them, but we will. And we will have some feedback tomorrow night, right? That's right. Tomorrow night, 9 o'clock on YouTube only. We won't be on Facebook tomorrow night. So we ask you to tune into our YouTube channel, subscribe, get off the damn fence on YouTube. We need to get our subscriptions up, and we appreciate you coming over and helping us do that. So we're going to give you some exclusive content over there on our YouTube channel. You won't be able to see it anywhere else but YouTube. And we're going to talk about the in-season tournament in full, break down each of the teams, what we hope to see. I know a lot of people say, oh, it's an in-season tournament. Hey, NBA taking it serious, why can't we? And we want to make sure that we cover and talk about some of the things we didn't really get a chance to, because of the football season, do an in-depth look at all the teams like we would normally do preseason. So we're still early enough in the season. We've seen a little bit of a sample size, especially them Cleveland Cavaliers, to say certain teams are looking pretty strong, and this is what we should be looking for moving forward. So tomorrow night, join us on our YouTube channel exclusively at 9 p.m. for a special NBA in-season tournament special. Justin, tell them what they can look forward to seeing.
Basketball.
Calvin, you more than that. God damn it. We salesmen that hot. Help me.
Oh man, we're gonna talk about the in-season. We're gonna talk about the in-season tournament. Gonna give you our breakdowns on that. Clay went back. Clay goes back to Golden State tonight, so we'll give you an update on that. And going with the college game, Cooper Flagg has his first NCAA game, big game tonight, Duke against Kentucky. So we'll talk about that and preview the potential #1 draft pick. So it'll be a little bit more than just basketball.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
That still is basketball, though, by the way.
Yeah, NBA. But yeah. And another side note, I noticed ESPN, they created a new thing on their crawl where it's not just NCAA B, Los Basketball. It says MM or MC B, like what is it? Men's college basketball or whatever like that. Like, because I guess they doing women's college basketball, so they wanted to emphasize now, and that wasn't like that for years past. So that tells you how big the women's game has gotten, where they gotta create a new acronym for their crawl to distinguish. So that tells you the advancements this women's college game has made. Even ESPN got to change how they describe. So good point on that. I'm very excited, man. Juju looking good, ain't she? Man, good God. Yeah. Good
Oh,
God.
yeah. And then we're going to give you updates on Adrian Reese working on a 3-point shooting.
Interesting. Anyway, tune in tomorrow night. We'll be back. we'll be back tomorrow night on YouTube exclusively, and we'll also be back because Friday night is another, and we're going to have a special episode. We're not going to let you know just yet because we don't know just yet, but it might be Friday, might be Saturday, might be Sunday. But we're going to do another special covering what happened on Friday as well. YouTube exclusively. So please head over to our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. It's not enough just to watch us. We love the likes. We love that. We see the views, but hit the like button, hit the subscribe, like, share. Tell your friends, get the name out there on YouTube, and we truly appreciate you. Get off the damn fence. We'll be back here next Tuesday night, right here on Facebook and YouTube. And as always, we appreciate all the views. Appreciate all the love. Y'all have a good night, and we'll see you next week right here. Get off the damn fence.